You heard that there was an international trade agreement between 9 countries being drafted behind closed doors. Would you want to know the details? Well, that's exactly what's happening. It's called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and it's a trade agreement between Chile, Australia, Brunei, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and the United States. And what better way to explain it than a song? Take a look. Now, TPP spokespeople have said that the TPP will tear down previous barriers and raise international standards. But critics say it will compromise food safety, create monopolistic drug patents, which will lead to more expensive medicine, allow millions of American jobs to be shipped offshore, cause financial deregulation, and impede net neutrality. More disturbingly, there are over 600 corporate advisors on the TPP. The negotiations between corporations and nation-states are all happening in secret, while the public and consumer advocates are left out in the dark. But activists aren't letting this agreement go down without a fight. Take a look at this. This is TPP teepee that they had installed in the hotel bathrooms where the negotiations are being held. A little light reading for the bathroom. It's just their way of saying that the agreement isn't even worth the paper it's printed on. But let's look at the bigger picture here, though. Will this new agreement really break down needed barriers, or are the public's interests the ones who are being traded away? And what's with all the secrecy? Joining me now for more is Myra Sutton, International Intellectual Property Coordinator at EFF. Hey, Myra.
Hello.
You know, we're in a global economy. Isn't free trade with international communities a good thing?
Well, actually, our organization only is concerned with one of those chapters. The TPP, as you said, covers a broad range of issues from agriculture to textiles to medicine. But the EFF is concerned with the intellectual property chapter that has many concerning provisions, including civil penalties for copyright infringement that could lead to a $150,000 penalty for one instance of infringement. It could also lead to imprisonment, jail time for infringement if someone were to be found to directly or indirectly benefit from an infringement. It also prevents many instances of anti-circumvention. So many products have locks on them to prevent piracy, but one, most of those locks don't prevent piracy, and two, it prevents school teachers, visually impaired people from being able to use the products that they bought and they purchased.
Myra, would this allow other countries to, authorize them to use these penalties against Americans for copyright?
Well, actually, most of the penalties already exist in the U.S., but as we see, actually tomorrow, EFF is going to a rulemaking hearing that allows us to extend exceptions and limitations on such digital locks and technological protection measures. But what it does do for the U.S. is that it creates this international standard that the U.S. could point to and say, hey, look, these are international norms for copyright. We don't need to question our domestic copyright policy.
So under the auspices of free trade and this whole thing, they're kind of using the same tactics or that they were proposing in the SOPA and PIPA bills. Is that right?
Pretty much, yes.
So talk a little bit about the corporate advisors to this. I mean, are there telecommunication industry advisors involved in drafting these negotiations?
Not telecommunications companies that we know of, but definitely the Recording Association of America, the Motion Picture Association of America, and they're closely tied to the negotiation process. For example, in February, they had their negotiation meeting in a luxury hotel in Beverly Hills, and civil society members who reserved a hotel room and reserved a restaurant to hold these events for stakeholders to learn about what the problems are that we find with the TPP. The hotel canceled those reservations on us due to, confidentiality. But at the same time, that later that week, film executives set up a multi-hour tour for these stakeholders to go to these movie studios to look at their facilities. So, you know, there's a lot of ways in which the USTR, which is the U.S. Trade Representative Office that is organizing the TPP and drafting the TPP, is beholden to these private corporate industry.
You know, Myra, I have to say that I don't think a lot of people even know that this is happening. The TPP, it seems like it's kind of out of the public radar. I mean, why do you think that is? It's such a huge issue, and like you're saying, I mean, it's definitely going to infringe on our neutral internet.
Well, we're working on it. I think that video that you showed that actually dropped last week, it was created by Public Citizen. I think such videos and graphics are really effective at targeting the public and hitting them in the heart, and to get them to understand that this is a very powerful trade agreement that is really skirting democratic processes and skirting, you know, what we find true and dear about our democratic process of making legislation and agreements. So I think people should be infuriated.
You know, it just seems like this is a perfect example of corporate strongholding over nation states. I mean, we see this time and time again where there's so much collusion passing through these things and things kind of being drafted in secret. I mean, what are the chances of this passing? Do we really have a chance to halt this or revise some of the more scary provisions in it?
Well, our tactic now is to pressure Congress, our U.S. Congress, to call for transparency in this agreement, and to stop efforts right now to create actually to renew this fast track provision that allows such trade agreements to fast track through Congress within 90 days. One expired in 2007, but they're trying to renew it again so that TPP can just go through Congress without them being able to question or change the agreement at all. So it's really up to the public to be aware and to pressure the representatives against letting this trade agreement pass through.
Myra, is there anyone in Congress who's on your side and saying, wait a minute, this is pretty crazy. Let's take a look at this before ushering this through?
Yes, Representative Ron Kirk and actually Darrell Issa just released the leaked February 2011 text on his platform called Keep the Web Open. And although it's not the current draft, it creates a good model for what we would like to see with the TPP.
And what corporate rights would the TPP establish?
Corporate rights. Well, the whole agreement would be,
yeah.
in essence. So, yeah.
Yeah, just in a nutshell, it seems like a lot of different industries have a lot invested in this, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this and keep the battle right here on IT and be following EFF's progress. Thank you so much, Myra. That was Myra Sutton, International Intellectual Property Coordinator at EFF.